Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Tony Talks and Get Up and Grow, where I have conversations with inspirational leaders, influencers, and change makers, people that aren't just doing well in life, but that are also doing good in the world. Today, I have the honor of having a really great friend of mine back. This is, I think, his third time coming back on the show. Someone who I always have so much fun with, whether it's on the show or in person when he comes up to visit or I go down to visit him. It is my dear friend, Anil Gupta. He is author of Immediate Happiness, and he is a happiness and relationship expert. But without further ado, I don't want to leave him sitting in the green room for too long. Let me bring him in. Here he is, the one and only Anil Gupta.
Hey, everybody. So today's going to be a great show because I'm speaking.
Listen, I knew that.
Yeah. The secret is, guys, whenever I'm with Tony, we have a laugh. You know, there's nothing serious. There's nothing like to get upset about. Just have fun. You know, if you have more fun, I mean, we laugh at the smallest things. You remember that time we had those crickets?
Oh, yeah. Literally,
I'm still feeling it.
It's so happy. We went to a friend of mine's startup, and one of the guys there was working on sustainable foods and sustainable brownies and cookies, and they're made from cricket, right? Cricket or grasshoppers? Cricket flour, which they take crickets, dehydrate. Anyway, it was interesting. And then we had some chocolate covered crickets. It was interesting. You know, I haven't had any since. You know, hope nobody took offense to that, but I just like to hear them outside. I don't need to have them, you know, I don't need to have them rolling around in my belly. So yeah, always fun though. You know, you got to have fun. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. You know, I say all the, you know, I think it was, I've quoted him before, but it was, and I forgot who it was that said it. But anyway, a day without laughter is a day wasted, right? So it's always important to laugh and to have a good time. That's why I always love spending time with you, because we always have a freaking laugh. I don't, you know, it's inevitable. I mean, we haven't even started, but it's nice to see that you're trying to grow a beard.
I'm not. I just haven't shaven for 2 hours.
In 2 hours? No, I shaved yesterday, and you know. But you know how it goes. I grow facial hair. It's going out of style.
Yeah. So you know the easy thing with me and Tony is that we can look in the mirror and laugh so hard that we're permanently occupied.
Listen, you got to be able to laugh at yourself. If you can't laugh at yourself, call me. I'll laugh at you. But
there you go.
Laugh we must. Laugh we must. You know, if you're not laughing, you're crying, and I'd rather laugh all day long. And sometimes you got to laugh through the tears, right? And you know, even through the moments that a lot of people are struggling through and having a hard time in. It's just important to keep a good humor and keep a good perspective, and knowing that laughter and having that energy is important to support our immune system as well and keep us healthy. By the way, just to remind everyone that this is very much an interactive conversation. It's not just a conversation with Anil and myself, but also with all of you. So feel free to make comments, ask questions, and we will make sure that we get to them, whether it be on here live or after the fact. We are streaming to Facebook and YouTube. And for those who are on Facebook, I'd love you to check out my YouTube channel. It is the same thing, but love you to get on there and subscribe as well. And you can share the link and share that out to your friends and family that may not be on Facebook. So with that said, Mr. Anil Gupta, what is going on in your part of the world, and how are you? You know, what are you doing during these times of extra time at home, with this extra time at home that we've got?
Number one rule, anyone out there, the number one thing you need to do is give. So in the last hour, I booked 2 Zoom calls, just offering my services. And in the moment you give authentically, there is no pain and suffering. So the secret to living is giving. So give your skills, your greatness, your power. Give it away by serving other people. You know, people will always remember how you made them feel. So in these calls, I talk about my happiness formula, which is H equals G cubed. The first G is you have to give. Give your time, your energy, your love, your commitment, your joy, your gift, your money. Give it away. The second G is you have to be grateful for what you have and don't focus on what you don't have. And the third G is you have to grow emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. Now, whenever you're feeling upset, and sometimes we feel that way, one of those three G's drops down a lot. So that's the one G you need to focus on, is that lowest G. I was coaching someone yesterday and she said, well, I'm trying to work on all three. And I said, that's your problem. You don't need to. Always work on the lowest one and then everything rises. If you try and work on all three, you're going to get overwhelmed. And exactly what she was doing. She was getting overwhelmed. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, whoever's watching, both of you. Oops, one dropped out. What is your lowest G right now? Is it give? Is it grow? Is it gratitude? So Tony, what's your lowest G right now?
They're working pretty. All of them are working pretty hard, but probably grow, because while I'm involved and I'm giving all day, whether it's on this doing this live or I'm on other podcasts or I'm listening to something. So I'm giving of myself, and I'm also listening to other podcasts. I'm listening to other people sharing information. So I think that I'm growing as well. And I'm just grateful every day for another opportunity to live, right? Because every day's a gift. So I got to be honest right now. I'd like to be growing more, to be honest.
Right. Okay. So if you notice what happened when I asked him, he started to think about it. And that brings clarity. Awareness brings clarity. Clarity brings focus. Focus brings action. Action brings results. Results brings momentum. So by you asking your question, and they can be 99%, 99%, 98%. It doesn't really matter. But just pick one. If they're so close, just pick one. So you know what? Let me do giving. So perform 5 acts of kindness. Let me do gratitude. Let me be gratitude. Instead of doing, a lot of people are doing gratitude. And the secret is to be gratitude.
Right.
It's not the doing, it's the being.
Absolutely.
So if any of you are listening out there still, what's your lowest G? Giving, growing, or gratitude? And growing is in 4 parts: emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental. So my one is really, again, emotional growth. I've been working on my mindset so that I can serve more people. I have some issues. I'm forgetful, so I'm cleaning up my desk. I'm cleaning up my computer so that everything is more organized. Otherwise, I'm just wasting my time. And that's one of my areas of growth that I need to work on. I'm also learning Spanish. So I'm learning Spanish every day. I've been coaching other people to do that. And I thought, hey, you're not doing it. So, as Gandhi said, you have to be the change.
So, this is perfect. Vamos a empezar a hacerlo en español entonces.
Sí, no hablo español.
Well, we could do the rest of the show in Spanish. It's up to you.
I've got to cerveza. Talking about Gandhi, one day a lady brought her son to see Gandhi and said, Mr. Gandhi, my son eats a lot of sugar and I'm concerned about his health. Would you make him stop eating sugar? So he looked at the boy and he said, son, come here. He looked at the boy and said, look, come back in a month's time. The mother was upset. Said, why didn't you just tell him? He said, no, come back in a month's time. So the mother brought him back in a month. And then Gandhi said to the boy, stop eating sugar. And the mother was confused. Said, Mr. Gandhi, why did you not tell him last month? He said, I could have done, but I had to stop eating the sugar first before I could tell him. It's a big thing, It's about integrity. It's about showing up in the world with alignment.
Yeah. Be the change you want to see in the world, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
I say it all the time, be the mentor you wish you had, be that voice of reason that you'd like to see in the world. If things are crazy, then you be the calm of the storm. If sometimes the storm needs to be had, be the storm, that change, be the person that you want to see, walk your talk. So many people, walk their talk, or don't just talk their talk. They don't walk their talk, or they don't eat their own cooking, or they don't take their own medicine. We've all heard the expressions before. It's important to do that. So I love that story with Gandhi. I share it often as well. And it's a beautiful example of it, because he couldn't, in good consciousness, tell the boy to stop eating sugar, right? Because he was eating sugar.
Yeah. So, and, it's for parents, this is especially true. So I could, we have 4 generations. We have a few generations in our family. And if I said to my son, hey, son, you should stand up when my grandfather walks in, as opposed to if he sees me stand up, if my dad walks in, that's what, if my father walks in the room, I stand up as a form of respect. Right. But if I told him to do that without me doing it, it would be meaningless. So, as parents, we have to be extra careful how we show up, because the kids watch us. And we have to be really aware of how we show up. Yeah, so Yolanda, Yolanda wrote growing. Are you allowed to can she get on the call? Is there a way?
Yes. How am I going to do that?
I put him in place there, didn't I?
Yeah, well, no, I could do that. Hold on. Let me just do this. I got to go get off of here and go to Facebook and send her this link. I don't want to just put the link on here. So let's see.
Hey, Landa. Hey, Dana, how are you?
We do a live.
So Dana, which is the lowest one right now? Or if they're all about the same, just pick one. Practice what you preach. Absolutely.
Hey, Yolanda, if you want to come on, just type. Let me know if you want to come on. I don't want to go through all this.
Okay. Come on. Yeah, there you go. One of the things I've learned, and Richard Branson taught me this, is when someone asks you something, just say yes. So a few hours ago, Tony said, hey, do you want to get on the call? And I said, yes. I didn't ask him any questions apart from the timing, because if I've got commitments, I'm not going to break those. But yeah, just say yes, and you'll be amazed. Magical things will happen. Say yes to life. That's what you're saying yes to.
I don't know. See, I don't know if we're friends on Facebook.
No worries. It was just I just saw that pop up there.
Hold on. No, you're right. Hold on. Let me see if I.
And if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer them. We know some things, and we know a little about a lot, but not a lot about a little.
Yeah. Right, this is true. So Yolanda, if you want to send me a message on Facebook, I'll be able to bring you on that way, so I can send you the link. Otherwise, I won't be able to send you the link. But with that said, yes, listen. That's the beauty of, it's important to focus on one or two things, but it's important to know many things, because I know a lot of people that are brilliant at one or two things, but they don't know, they don't have a lot of other things. Well, anyway, we'll move on from that. We'll move on to that conversation. So what else?
It's important to do what you love.
Yeah, it's very important.
And then really, don't sacrifice your love doing things. And then one day you'll do the things that you love, because that one day could be too late. Really, time is of the essence. Do what you love, and everything works from it. Everything works from it.
Yeah, but the reality though is we got to remember that not everybody can do. Sometimes you've got to do whatever you have to do to be able to do what you love, right? So obviously that doesn't, I don't think what you're saying is, quit your job and go do something that you love.
I don't know. Yeah.
Money, but certainly get to the point. I love doing this, right? And I've always loved what I've done at one point or another. You fall out of love with things, and you always have to be able to come back around. And if you don't love what you're doing now, figure out a way to be able to do what it is that you love. If maybe that's going to require you getting further education, maybe it's going to require you let go of what you're holding on to in order to move forward, right? Because so many times what's keeping us from getting what it is that we want is we're refusing to let go of what is, right? Yeah. One of the things I say all the time is that every next level of you is going to demand a different version of you, right? There's a price for everything, right? There's a price to be able to do what you want.
See, a lot of people wait. They say, I'll start doing X, Y, and Z when I'm 50 or 55. And I said, no, start it now. Because it brings you joy. Start it now. Spend an hour a week, 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week, 5 hours a week. You can make time, but you have to do something that you love. You know, if you can't make it a business, that's fine. But do something you love. Don't wait for it. Don't put it off.
Yeah, because you know, someday it'll be too late. Someday
it'll always be too late. It'll always be too late.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything, you know, as they say, you know, when's the best time to have planted a tree? Was last year, right? The second best time is today.
Yes.
Because it's never too late. It's never too late, and sometimes it is, right? Nobody goes, the old saying goes, nobody
have to do it.
Their deathbed. Yeah, nobody's in their deathbed saying, I wish I had worked harder. I wish I had spent more time at work. I wish I had taken on more deals. I wish I had worked with more clients. No, they all say, I wish I had, you know, taken that trip. I wish I had spent more time with my family. I wish I had, you know, communicated or forgiven or done this or done that or done the other thing. So, you know, live while you're still alive, right? Yeah. Most people just exist. You know, which, by the way, at some points, you know, survival and just existing is actually a good thing, right? Because sometimes you're going through difficult moments. But the reality of it is a lot of people, even when things aren't difficult, they're just doing the mundane, going day by day and just existing and forgetting to live. And look, I know that you've had, you know, some experiences that changed your perspective. I certainly had experiences that changed my perspective. And sometimes your biggest growth comes from the biggest pain. So, yeah. And just know that, actually, maybe that's a good transition. If you're in pain now, just know that growth is around the corner, because big change comes from difficult situations.
So if you are in pain, there's one thing that you can do right now to stop the pain, and that's to give. In the moment you give, all the pain and suffering disappears. And the secret is this: as human beings, we love to be comfortable about being comfortable, and we have to become comfortable about being uncomfortable and uncomfortable about being comfortable, because the growth comes from the times when we're uncomfortable. And, you know, as Tony was saying, life is not about the number of breaths you take, but the number of times your breath is taken away. Really, live life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please do not ask me to repeat that.
Yeah. I gotta listen. These are the same words. That's why, honestly, it's weird how kind of like we are. Did your dad ever travel through Portugal in 1972? Never mind.
1872.
Actually, it would have to have been in 71.
He was 38. Yeah, could have done.
Yeah,
funny.
That's funny. But yeah, I talk about that a lot, right? I mean, it's so true. You gotta live before you die.
Universal truth. We're not telling you anything new. People think knowledge is power, but it's not power unless you implement, unless you take action.
That's right. Action. And action is the key to getting from where you are to where you want to be. You know, it's not enough to want it. It's not enough to say, I want this, to try to attract that into your life. You know, I love the law of attraction. I believe in it. But the one thing that the book always falls short of, or the movie falls short of, or when people talk about it, they fall short of it, is, yeah, you can envision it, you can write it down, you can have the goal, you can see it happen, you can do this, but you've got to get up. You can imagine yourself winning the lottery, and you can imagine yourself laying on the beach or in a boat or on a trip or in, you know, 16 different houses or whatever it is that your dream would be, but you still have to get up and go buy the ticket, right? You still have to take action. So action is pivotal to attracting what it is that you want into your life. It's not enough to say, this is what I want. You've got to take action. So take action in the direction of that you want to go, action of your dreams, or the direction of your dreams, because knowledge is only potential power.
You know, I have a lottery story. So this lady goes up to God and says, God, will you help me win the lottery? I need it to help more people. He says, of course, you know, for you, I'll do it. So the first week she didn't win. Second week she didn't win. Third week she didn't win. And she went up to God and said, God, I thought you said you would let me win the lottery. And he said, yes, I did. But you have to help me. She said, what do you mean? He said, you have to buy the ticket.
Right. Right.
Really, it's a small step. You know, let me give you an example. If you see this, it looks like half empty or half full. Most people say half full. but it's not. It's refillable.
Damn right.
It's refillable. Your life is refillable, and it's refillable today. The decisions you make today will determine the rest of your life. If you make a decision today, and that's empowering you, the compounding effect will be amazing. Einstein said the greatest force on this earth was compounding interest. He was wrong. The greatest force on this earth is compounding. You start making changes today. If you are 0.5% happier, more joyful, more playful, more giving, more present, every day, over a week, a month, a year, you'll be in a totally different place.
Yeah. Or even if you get, as the saying goes, even if you're happier by 1% a week, you're still 50% happier by the end of the year.
More.
Well, right, because it's compounding.
It's compounding.
You'd probably be well over 100% because of the compounding effect. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've got to take action in the direction of that we want to go. You know, and I'd say it all the time. Actually, I was having this. I made a comment to Joseph earlier, where, you know, smiling is so important, right? Just smile, because you lose nothing by giving a smile. If you see somebody with, you know, there's that saying that I love. If you see somebody and they're not smiling, give them yours, right? Make them smile. Yeah. You know, remember that time in New York, and we talk about this a lot, but we had, he was up in New York one time, and we're walking around, and he says, "Why isn't anybody smiling?" I says, "Well, because we're in New York." He's like, "Come on now, people are smiling." I says, "No, we're going to walk around. Everybody's, you know, kind of doing their own thing. Doesn't mean that they're unhappy. It's just, that's just the way it is." So we're going, and, you know, we're literally going up to people, and they're just walking by stone faced, until one woman, we smiled at her, because we're smiling at people, by the way, and they're just, you know, stone faced. And this woman smiled back, you know, all bright. And he's like, "You see, look, there's a New Yorker smile." She's like, "No, I'm from Texas." Reality, it's so important to smile. It's so important to laugh. You know, it's so important to love, you know, and you talk about giving, right? You know, you could give, and unfortunately you could give it all away. You know, the saying goes, you can't give it all away. You actually could. But the one thing you can't give away and run out of is your love, right? And your attention, right? You don't run out. You don't run out of that. So how can you share that? How can you be more of that to somebody else? Because there's obviously people that so need it, right? There's people that need the attention. You should call somebody, pick up the phone and call. You know, it's
people,
so important.
We never know what people are going through. That phone call could save their life.
Yeah.
People will always remember how you made them feel. And there are two types of people. Ones that make you happy when you enter the room, ones that make you happy when you leave the room. Which one are you?
Yeah, you're always making somebody smile, one way or the other. Yeah, that's funny. But listen, the reality is you always got to smile, and you know, sometimes it's by leaving the room. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
good.
I read somewhere today that, you know, people.
When did you learn to read?
Well, it was like 2 days ago. My wife taught me. My kids actually. Okay. They're homeschooling. They're homeschooling me. So I read something that was actually really pretty deep. You know, a lot of people say that they're lonely, and, you know, they miss human interaction, or, you know, of their friends and their family and everything else. And then it says, you know, that's just a good thing to remember for, you know, the times when you don't call your grandparents, or you don't call your parents, or, you know, think about the people that are in the nursing homes, that, you know, this is how people feel when they feel isolated, and they don't see the people that they love. So hopefully, you know, when this is all over and people can start moving around, or when it's all over, when it's under control, we'll call it, people start moving around, just remember that, and make sure that, you know, you go out and spend time with the people that you love, and you give of yourself, right? Share your heart, share your smile, share your story, share what it is you do, share the power that is your heart. You know, look at this guy. Not only does he always have his heart on his shirt, but he's also got one on his mind, on his head.
My favorite hat. I got given this by one of my healthcare professionals, and again, that was a beautiful act of kindness. Now it covers my bald spot. It's amazing. Well, I call it equalizer.
Nice. Well, you know, you live in Florida, so it's always sunny, and, you know, you have a convertible top, and that's gonna, you know, burn the top off of it. So It's
there
good.
you go, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
So what have you been doing down in Florida to keep yourself? How have you been growing? What have you been doing to aside from, I know that you're doing a lot of these Zoom calls and podcasts and things as well. What else have you been doing?
Cleaning up my office, decluttering, getting things done, going for walks, working out, working on some new programs, online programs, cleaning up existing online programs, books 2 and 3. And just helping others maybe write some books. Really, it's learning Spanish, and actually, you know, I can speak a little bit of French. I can practice a little bit of my French as well. So really, it's a great opportunity, because people are going to ask you, what did you do in COVID? And you'll say, oh, nothing. So, well, I learned French, I learned Spanish, I produced 3 programs, I produced 2 books, blah, blah, blah. Amazing. Time becomes more valuable as you get older, and this is an opportunity. It's given to you. You know, don't waste it. Really, don't waste it.
Yeah. Time does go fast. I remember, you know, when I was 8, I couldn't wait to be 10. When I was 10, I couldn't wait to be 15. When I was 15, I couldn't wait to be 18. When I was 18, I couldn't wait to be 21. When I was 21, I wanted to be 25. And now, you know, then I was 30 and I wished I was 25. And then I was 35, I wished I was 30, and so on and so on and so on. And it's so true. Time does start to go faster, does it not? You know, I was always told that as a kid. I'm like, yeah, whatever. My God, I wish I
really
understood. Yeah. But, you know, they say that wisdom is wasted on the youth, right? Or youth is wasted on the youth. I think is what the saying.
No. Youth are normally wasted.
Well, there's that. There's all kinds of things around the youth.
That's from our history. Funny. So cool.
So, what do you have on? What else are you working on? You're working on 2 books. What else are you working on?
Our next trip to see the Dalai Lama. We were supposed to meet him this month, but obviously got delayed. So we're going to probably meet him end of this year or next year. We have a trip in July to meet Richard Branson on it'll be his 70th birthday, my 60th. So we've got a group of about 40 people coming. As you know,
is that the one too, or is
that's your one? Yeah, that's the one you're coming on.
Your birthday. I would hope that's the one I'm going on.
Yeah. So that'll be a very beautiful trip.
Yeah, I'd love to go on the Dalai Lama trip as well, as long as it fits within. There's only, at the end of the year, you know, I have 1 or 2 events that I gotta.
Of course.
Then there's Christmas, so there's 3 events.
No, I think Christmas has been cancelled this year.
Okay.
So you're good.
Yeah, well, a lot of other things have been canceled. Hopefully, like I said, we'll have things under control by then.
Well, we have things under control now, because everything exists in here. Yeah. You know, the most expensive real estate in the world is in your head. So no matter what's going on externally, you can show up differently. You can externally, exclude everything external and just keep this nice and safe. Yeah.
So important. It's so important to keep your head on straight, so to speak, and to really focus on what's important. And I think a lot of the ways to do that, we've already spoken about, right? It's about it's gratitude, being in gratitude and appreciating where you are, how you are, and what you have, right? And what's another way? What would you say is another way?
Really, is to not to react. You know, a lot of people react. Don't react. Respond. It's an important thing, and the only way to do that is to be aware that you are reacting. You know, I know it's difficult having kids in the house, and you know, when you have close proximity. So you know, again, one of the things Richard Branson said was, you know, before I go anywhere, I say no to temptation, because you know there's great temptations in life, and he decides before he leaves the house. So before you get out of bed, just say, you know, no, I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to react. I'm going to be the most loving person on the planet. And if I do get upset, I'll just keep it within me. And that's just a muscle. As you develop it, it gets easier and easier and easier. So that's really important. And, you know, be careful of the words that you use. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. You know, so one time I would always leave the toilet seat up and my wife would get upset. And this is back then, I would do it deliberately just to get my own back. But then she said this one day, honey, every time you do that, I can't love you as much. Wow. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Absolutely.
It makes all the difference. It's the tone, the kindness, the words, the gestures, the eye contact.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And I would say to wrap up that piece of it, I would say it's also focus, right? Focus on what it is that you want instead of what is it you want, that instead of what you don't want. Focus on the solution, not on the problem. Focus on the fact that you're going to be traveling next month, or your business is going to be up and running again, or the garden at the very least is going to be in bloom, or whatever it is. Focus on something positive. Focus on the future. Focus on what you're grateful for. We already talked about gratitude, but focus on what it is that you want coming forward, because it's easy to be grateful for what you have, not as easy to be grateful for what's coming. I call it, I say it's being grateful forward. Because it's easy to be grateful for what you have, but it's not as easy to be grateful for what's coming. So focus on that. Change your focus. So Bianca has a question. She says, I'm learning about Anil's work today. What's his best relationship advice, and what is the best relationship book that he has read?
So Bianca, the biggest mistake that people make in marriages, this is a top secret, Bianca. I'm going to let you know what it is. The biggest mistake people make in marriages is getting married. If they didn't get married, there'd be no relationship divorces. There'd be none of that stuff.
She goes on to say, so your relationship advice is to keep the toilet seat down? Yes, that's definitely one of them.
That's one thing. So the secret is this, and Tony really, he's the epitome of this, is you have to make your partner your number one priority. If you make your partner your number one priority and they make you their number one priority, they will never leave you. Yeah. But I have this program, it's called the Perfect Partner Program Without Dating. The biggest mistake people make in relationships when they get into a relationship is they don't do their due diligence. Their values don't align. There's a lot of misalignments, but they think, oh, this is different. He will change, she will change. This is love. This is that feeling. He's my soulmate. This is chemistry. Don't rely on that because it's not working. You have to do your due diligence on your partner. Get to know him much deeper before you date. Because if you date and something happens on that date, all of a sudden you're in a relationship and you can't get out. And then you get comfortable, then you get fearful, then 5 years have gone, you think, oh my God, what have I done? So, this is a big thing. Relationships are something really, really you have to be very careful with. And Bianca, the thing is, if you read a book, I don't think that's always the best course, because you can read it and think, oh, okay, I need to do this, but it's so dynamic. The number one thing, Bianca, you have to work on is yourself. You have to change first. By you changing, everything changes. You need to let go of some issues, some forgiveness, some baggage, clean yourself up, change your thoughts, change some of the triggers that you have. And once you do that, your vibrational energy changes. And then when that happens, a relationship will come to you. It'll be effortless. Relationships are supposed to be effortless.
Yeah, if it's too much work, then it either works. You work on your relationship, certainly, because I'm all about I'm not avoid divorce if you can, but if you can't, by all means, get out. Right? Nothing's worse than being with the wrong person for too long. So if something isn't working, try to fix it. If you can't fix it, then you've got to make other plans, right? And the reality of it is, most relationships are fixable. But you said something. Do your due diligence. That's so important, because so many times people meet and at times even now people meet and but you look so much older on your Facebook picture, or so much younger rather on your Facebook profile or your link, whatever the match or whatever the sites are. I'm fortunate to I've never even been on one, so it's great. I've been happily married and together for a very long time. But it's so important to know who it is that you're getting into a relationship with. Tony Robbins says that most people spend more time and do more due diligence to try to hire an assistant or a cleaning lady or a mechanic than they do with the person that they wind up spending the rest of their life with, because it's a convenience thing, right? It's proximity, and he talks about what's the actress, only the number one actress in history, right? What's her name? Anyway, pass. But he talks about, basically the woman.
Elizabeth Burton.
Yeah. She was married to all these
six husbands. She married one twice.
But right. So the 5 husbands, the first 4, the first 5, as it were all, whether they were celebrities or they were very prominent people. The last one was a truck driver. And that relationship only lasted a few months. But why? Because she was in rehab and he was in rehab, and it was proximity, and they hooked up, and then they were married. A truck driver to Elizabeth Taylor, not Burton, Elizabeth Taylor. So married Elizabeth Taylor, and he's a truck driver. Of course, that didn't last, but it's proximity. So it's important to really know who it is that you're getting into a relationship with. Listen, I got to be honest. One of the things to do is, meet the parents, certainly before you decide to walk down the aisle. Meet the parents, because if they fight like cats and dogs. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, that the kids are going to turn out exactly like the parents, because God knows I am not like my father. I mean, I've certainly got some of his traits, but I would like to believe that I don't have all the negative ones, right? There were unfortunately plenty of those. So while they're not an indicator, they'll give you a glimpse or an idea of what it is that you might be dealing with. Again, I'm not saying that is steadfast and whatever, but it might give you an idea just to see how does she treat her parents? How does he treat his parents? How do the parents treat him or her? There's a lot of dynamics to be able to do that. And the other thing is, because a lot of times people show up to relationships and they're wearing masks. Many people are still wearing masks, because whether they're putting on a mask, a happy mask on top of a sad face, and then they're putting on a strong mask on top of that, and they need to become something else for someone else. So they put on another mask for this job, another mask for that job. Before you know it, they're hunched over, and they're hunched over, because they're wearing so many masks that they don't even know who they are anymore. And it weighs on them. So many people forget who they really are because they've spent so many years putting these masks on. As the saying goes, growing up is unlearning all the things you learned when you were younger and then learning them again. And that means taking off those masks and relearning who it is that you were or who you're supposed to be. So,
with ladies, I've noticed something very sad and unpleasant happening these days, is that they're getting hooked up with narcissists.
Yeah.
That's the worst relationship you can possibly get. Yeah. And, I was coaching a girl, and, I have rules. Okay. You never cross this line. You never, ever do this. And she met this guy, previous boyfriend, and she crossed the line because she said it felt different. This time it's going to be different. Maybe he'll change. Maybe he'll learn something. Maybe this time will be different. No, this is too important. You would not take that risk. Don't take that risk.
Yeah.
And the problem is, when you start meeting someone, you get fearful, you get emotional, you think, I can change him. No. Get someone you don't need to fix. Get someone you don't need to change. Get someone who's aligned with you. And it's a process. Really, really, really. Look, guys, ladies, if you're stuck, this is my one speciality, finding ladies the perfect partner. If you're stuck finding the perfect partner, let's get on a call and I will help you, because you don't want to get into the wrong relationship. I'm helping people right now. It's horrible. It's the most painful thing ever. And even if you divorce, it doesn't end there. It continues. You don't want that. You really don't want that.
Yeah, it's so important, because, and here's the thing about people that go back again, you just don't, it's hard to understand why that is. But I do understand why it is that people do that. But the reality of it is something that I tend to post a lot about, is we train people how to treat us, right? We train people how to treat us based on what we tolerate, what we accept. If somebody treats us like crap and we take it, then that's how they're going to treat us. And now let's say that there's a breakup. Oh, 5 years later, 2 years later, 6 months later, oh, he changed. No, if people can change, but rarely does it happen. Rarely does it happen. You know, rarely does it happen that they change to become the person that you always wish that they were, that they could have been, that you hope that they were. Now they come back and they say the right words. He or she says the right words. You're like, oh my God, they changed. This is so good. This is who I wanted. And then you wind up, you know, 2 weeks later, God damn it, same old stuff. Well, yeah, because you train them how to treat you. We train people how to treat us based on what we tolerate. You know, and if you get enough, I love this one, you know, and anyone who watches me regularly knows this, that I'm like, my life's like a series of quotes, right? So you train people how to take care of you. And if you're sitting at that table and respect is no longer being served, you've got to have enough self-respect to get up from that table and walk away. You got to walk away from the table if respect is no longer being served. Write that down. You've got to walk away, have enough courage to walk away from the table if respect is no longer being served.
Yeah. It's really powerful.
That's all you'll get.
And that's the line you don't cross. And ladies, even if you think he's changed, don't. It's a ticking time bomb. It could be a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years. Don't do it. It's going to affect your kids. It's going to affect everything. Don't do it. I promise you, there are enough men out there. You just don't know where to look. You don't know what to look for, and you're looking in the wrong places. It's simple. The problem is you're picking the wrong men for the wrong reason based on the past. Maybe some daddy issues. I don't know, but normally it's something like that.
Yeah. So focus on what you want and go after it. You know, and listen, relationships are kind of a give and a take, right? You know, it's like that dance. So, you know, you can't go into a relationship and say, okay, you can't say I am a steel beam. You can't be. You've got to be like a tree. You've got to be able to move and move with the wind and move with the storm, right? Because if you're so mobile that you're not going to change, then the reality of it is you're either going to stand there and be by yourself, or you're going to snap in the wind, one or the other, right? So you've got to be able to have the little ebb and flow, but you've got to remember that you're not a tree. And if you don't like where you are, if you're in a bad situation, you move. You're not a tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
But remember that you've got to be flexible as well. You know, you know, my wife doesn't like when I share this story, but I'm not going to go too far into it. But she went to work. She's not here, but she's listening on the drive. Actually, what time is it? No, she's already at work. Okay. You know, relationships, everybody says, you know, you touched on it before, how you get into a relationship. Oh, I'm going to change her. I'm going to change him. You know, it got to a point when we were first dating, I said, look, I've already kind of changed as much as I could, because and we all have, and this is a lesson for both sides, right? You could, and I've been on both sides. I was both sides of that equation, right? I wanted things one way and I didn't want things another way. I wanted to do this and she wanted to do that. And, you know, it has to be this ebb and flow, and you've got to learn how to dance together, you know. But it got to a point that I said, look, you know, she had asked me really about something like, oh, you know, I don't like that. I said, look, I'm not going to change anymore, because it gets to a point that if you change any more of who I am, then I'm no longer going to be who I am. And I'm not going to be the person that you fell in love with. So then who am I? Oh, you're loud. You're always so loud, because, well, I'm still loud. You're loud. You're always all over the place. And I still do that. But that's such a big part of me that if I was to change that. So here's the lesson. Is that if I was to change that, I would be playing small. And I tell people all the time, don't dim your light for anyone, right? Don't dim your light for anyone just because it's too bright for them or it makes them uncomfortable. Either tell them to put on, get used to, put on some shades, or turn around and walk away, or you walk away. Because when you do that, what happens? And I'll wrap this up because you need to answer that part of it as well. the reality of it is, if you change so dramatically for someone, where you even violate some of your own values, and you do something that you said you never would, or you go against some of your core beliefs, your core values for someone, in hopes that they change and become who it is that you want them to be, for them to give you the love, or to love you the way you want to be loved, you change.
Yeah.
But then you don't get what you want. And they don't change. The other person doesn't change. And it was a one-sided change, but now you sit with it, and you go for a year, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, and you still don't get that love and affection that you wanted. What happens? You start to become resentful, and you start to blame yourself, and even at times hate yourself, because you gave in to something you shouldn't have. And so now you're not happy, and you wonder why. So there's certain things that you do not violate, certain things about, like you were saying before, there's certain lines that you don't cross. Right? Because there's a danger to that. And you can't go back. I mean, you could, but it's very difficult. When you train somebody how to treat you, that it's okay to treat you a certain way for 10 years or 5 years, and all of a sudden says, I want no more of it. Well, then, it's probably not going to work out so well. So anyway, that's my take on it. But you, by all means, I'd love to hear your advice on it as well.
Yeah. The big thing is this: your man must feel respected, and the lady must feel loved, and the man has to show up as a man, and the woman has to show up as a woman. But there is room for a little bit of yin and yang. But if a man doesn't feel respected, it's fatal. It's going to be very painful for you. So the secret is to make sure your partner is served in a beautiful way, and that you're not doing it as a transaction. I'll give you this if you give me this. It's not transactional. And don't keep score. Really don't keep score. So, Tony, how many years have you been married? How long have you been married?
17.
Okay. Mine is 31 years, 7 months, and 22 days. Not that I'm counting.
I've been with her for 23 and a half years. Not that you're counting. I know a guy that says,
if I had a watch.
I have a friend of mine that said, it's his 11-year anniversary. He said, honey, the last 11 years have gone by like 11 minutes. She's like, oh, he says, underwater with no oxygen. They divorced 6 months later. And that's a true story, by the way.
Oh, really?
Not just a joke. Sounds like a joke.
So listen to this. I'm digressing a little bit. But this is such a powerful quote I heard the other day. If you jump, a man doesn't drown by jumping in the river. He drowns by being submerged. So I know that you may be going through problems. I know you may be going through difficulties, but you'll only drown if you stay submerged. Okay, there's an option. You don't have to be in that world, and you have to get out sometimes. Or you have to take action. You have to do something. Inaction causes failure. You got to do something.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not that complicated. Sometimes just going like this and saying, I need help, and reaching out for help.
Bye-bye.
Or either say, bye-bye.
Ciao.
Or reach out if you can't swim and you feel like you're stuck. Reach out. There's always resources available to you. There's always a way. There's always a way. So if you're in trouble, you need help, by all means, ask for it. Put your hand up. Put your hand up. No, I'll share another story. Lauren Lahav, right?
Yeah.
A story about a friend of hers who was actually in an airplane crash. It was a small plane, like 12 or 13 people on the plane. A couple of people, unfortunately, died on impact, but there were 8 or 9 people that survived, and she was one of them. And she swam. They crashed in, I don't know if it was the sea or if it was in a lake or something. And she was able to swim, and she's looking around, and there's 4 or 5 people flailing their arms, and there's a few people that are sinking. So now I'll ask you, and this is how she told the story, says, would you jump in and save the people that are sinking, or would you save the ones?
You dive in and save the ones that are sinking. Maybe. Because they're the ones that are drowning. And I'll tell you why I say that. I've seen people a kid fall in a pool and they don't make any noise. They don't make any noise. The people who are flailing, they can keep afloat. But the people who actually gone in the pool, they don't make any noise. That's my experience.
Right. And okay, so it's a good analogy. But what the story was, she jumped into one of the people that was sinking, and she almost drowned with her because she was able to get her up, but she almost drowned with her. But in the meantime, somebody that was flailing their arms drowned as well. So really, you've got to go to the people that are asking for help.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Normally, you can't help, and that was an analogy, and it's a true story, but it's an analogy. You can't help the people that don't want to be helped. You can't help the people that don't have the hand up. By all means, help the people that are asking for help first, because they're the ones that want to change. They're the ones that want the help. They're the ones that have their hand up. So if you're, and this is in life, not just in relationships, certainly.
Yeah, anything.
If you need help, don't let pride keep you from going after that help. Don't let what you think other people are going to think of you go for that, keep you from asking for help. Ask for help. There's people out there willing to help.
Yeah. And what other people think of you is none of your business. And Bianca, I'm honestly telling the truth. I've been married 31 years, 7 months, and 22 days. And the reason I remember that is I just did a TED talk, and that was one of my parts of my TED talk. But really, and it's not been a beautiful journey all of the way. I mean, I was at fault many times. My wife was at fault a little bit at the time, but it's mostly me. I had to change. I had to show up because she taught me many things. When I was suicidal, I had to tell her the news, and she looked up at me, and I said, "Honey, I've lost everything." She looked up at me and smiled. And I said, "Why are you smiling?" She said, "Honey, I knew something was wrong. You were behaving so strangely. I thought you were dying. I thought you had cancer." Then she gave me a big hug and a kiss. That was the most beautiful moment of our lives, because I knew everything was going to be okay. That's the type of relationship you want, and I guarantee that Tony has that relationship.
Yeah. I'm blessed, as are you. I know your wife very well as well, and she's a beautiful, amazing woman.
I wonder why. Oh, it's me.
Not much of a videographer, tell her. I'm joking, Mina. I love you. I'm joking, but
she just left the house.
That one time was funny though. Remember when she was videoing? I think it was while we were doing the whole cricket thing, and she had the camera back. Anyway, good times. So it's so important. Reach out for help. Ask for help. Hell, if if you've got a challenge, send me a message. Send Anil a message. And certainly, I'm always willing to help wherever I can, right, and whenever I can. So what else would you say is what's a great tip that you can give someone that is looking for that perfect relationship, or perfect relationship? What is perfect, right? Stop looking for the perfect relationship, by the way. You get into a relationship, and what makes it perfect, because everybody's version of perfect is different, but you get into a relationship, what you get out of a relationship, what you put in. So whatever level of perfect you think it's going to be, it's going to require work from both sides. So just make sure you're with somebody that's also willing to play the game of life, and somebody that's going to love you like you want to be loved, as long as you're willing to love them the way they want to be loved.
And the secret is that we are imperfectly perfect, and it's okay to be imperfect. And the definition of love is acceptance. You have to accept your partner as is. In my coaching, the biggest issue that people have is forgiveness. I call forgiveness the express pathway to forgiveness, express pathway to freedom. The quality of your life is dependent on the depth and authenticity of the forgiveness you extend to others and to yourself. If you can't forgive yourself in the past and you bring that into a new relationship, it's going to be very painful. And that's one of the things you need to work on, is forgiveness, letting go, accepting what is and what isn't, and focusing on the big stuff. The little stuff will always get handled. And really having clarity around who you are, what you want, where to find him, how to find him, what to say to him. It's easy finding someone. It's hard finding the right person, and it's hard keeping them, because you have so many triggers, buttons that could be easily pressed during that time. So if you need help, I'm happy to help you. Tony's here to help you. We're really experienced enough to guide you and teach you to really get to that beautiful place, because when you do, it's effortless, it's beautiful, it's just the most awesome feeling. And that's what we do as human beings. We do everything for one reason, for the feeling it gives us. We have a relationship for the feeling it gives us. We end a relationship for the feeling it gives us. We have a nice car, a house, money in the bank for the security it gives us. So everything we do is for a feeling. And I promise you, when you find this person, they're not perfect, but they're perfect for you.
That's right. Oh, we're all perfectly imperfect, right? That's just
right.
the way it is. Valerie says a relationship is a continuous work in progress. Absolutely. You know, I equate it to like a little bonsai tree, right? You've got a relationship is a living thing. It's alive. You've got to take care of it. You've got to trim it. You've got to give it sunlight, but not too much sunlight. You got to give it water, but not too much water. You've got to take care of it. You got to clip off the dead leaves, and you got to take care of it because it's a living thing. And if your relationship, like life, if in life they say that if you're not growing, you're dying. A relationship is very much the same thing. If your relationship isn't growing a little bit every day or every week or every month or whatever it is, then it's dying. You know, and if there's one tip that I like to give people is just remember to smile and to laugh, right? Laugh together, because if you're not going to laugh together, you're going to wind up crying apart, right? So laugh, have a good time. Remember the moments that made you smile. Remember the happy moments that you had. Even if you're going through a rough time, you've had happy moments in the past. Remember those.
Yeah. So I have a slightly different view on that, Valerie. So please. Relationship is not continuous work. I don't believe so. It's a little bit of work at the beginning so that, you know, you get to know each other, but then it's plain sailing. You know, really, it is plain sailing. And occasionally you get storms. Occasionally you're off target, but even a plane from London to New York is off target 99% of the time. And it's just small adjustments. It's not work, it's adjustments. At the beginning, it's a little bit of work, but once you get on the right path, in the right direction, and you set your sails, it is plain sailing, I promise you. But it's you being 100% focused on them and them being 100% focused on you. Communication is a big thing. You know, to be able to communicate in a very powerful and authentic way without getting your buttons pushed and without getting upset. So, you know, he's only on 17 years, so what does he know?
No, but you're right. Listen, we've had these conversations before. We've had many conversations. It's definitely one of my best friends, and we speak often. So you know, we throw this around a lot. Even before I started doing Tony Talks, we were doing Facebook Lives together randomly, and so it's always great to see you, brother.
It's my pleasure.
To touch on the communication again, communication is essential. If you don't communicate, that's where things start to fall apart. So just make sure that you let him know or let her know how you feel, what you feel, and let him or her know what is it you want, right? What it is that you need, not what it is that you want, because we all want, but what do you need? What do you need to feel loved? How do you want to be loved? How do you need to be loved, right? How do you know what's your love language? Read the book by is it Alice Armstrong, The Love Language, The 5 Love Languages, or anyway, The 5 Love Languages. I forget who wrote the book, but read that to figure out what it is, because you know, maybe it's words of affirmation, maybe it's gifts, maybe it's acts of kindness, maybe it's whatever it is, but everybody has a different love language. And if my love language is to receive gifts, and I need to have gifts, which it's not, then I need to have gifts in order to feel love, then I'm going to give you gifts. But if that's not your love language, if you just want words of affirmation and you want people to always say, dude, I love you, thank you so much, and words and tell you how good you are, then it doesn't matter how many flowers I give you. It doesn't matter how much jewelry I give you. You're still not going to feel loved, because I'm not showing you love the way you want to receive it. So it's just so important to try to figure each other out. You know, try to figure each other out. It's so important. Communication is everything. Just like awareness in life that Anil was talking about before is everything. Awareness is everything in life, and communication is everything in a relationship. In any relationship, whether it be, you know, a romantic relationship, a friend, a business relationship, whatever it was.
Yeah. And remember, women, want to be loved above respect, and men want to be respected above love. So ladies, if you try and focus on giving your partner love, you'd be better off focusing on giving him respect. And gentlemen, and you know, focus on giving her love. Love is always above respect for women, and respect is always above love for men. And knowing that, just knowing that one thing could make the difference that makes a difference. And you know, if you listen to what Tony and I've told you today, you will add more years to your life and more life to your years.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. Yeah. Love it. So, Mr. Anil Gupta, how can people find you? Because, by the way, if you want great relationship advice, if you need to talk to somebody about being happy and happiness, listen, certainly I'm available, but this is the man. This is the man that I've learned. You're certainly one of my mentors and one of my
Thank you.
And I love you dearly. And so where can we find you, Mr. Anil Gupta?
So you know what? Why don't you find out how happy you are by taking the happiness test? In 3 minutes, you'll find out how happy you are with a score, and also a detailed breakdown on how to improve your happiness, which is myhappytest.com. myhappytest.com, and I'll send you a link if you want a personal one-to-one with me, and I'll tell you the people that will really benefit the most. If you're single, you're a lady, you're aged between 30 and 50, you're looking for your perfect partner, you've had some trauma, you're finding it difficult, someone's cheated on you, there's some forgiveness, there's some trauma, there's some upsets in the past, men have hurt you, they don't understand you, they've lied to you, they cheated on you, they've not been loving towards you. Any of that stuff's happened to you, let's get on one-to-one, and we can certainly help you get you clarity and move you forward so that you can have this beautiful relationship like Tony and me have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anil, you are amazing at that, my friend. I'm actually just putting in your Instagram handle here.
Hey, Eric, how are you, my friend? Good to see you on here. Eric Swanson's in the house.
In the house. Where is he? Yes, Anil is a mentor to the world. Anil is the man.
There's one sentence. I got to share one sentence. This one sentence changed my life. Ready? Be so amazing that you cannot be ignored. And if you are ignored, it doesn't matter, because how you show up on this beautiful planet will be this magnificent, unstoppable, caring, loving soul. Be so amazing you cannot be ignored. Boom, absolutely. I'm done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, brother, as always, I appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate everything that you do today and every day. I appreciate who you are as a man, to who you are as a father, who you are as a husband, certainly who you are as a friend, and how you show up in the world. You are the epitome of, one of those people that, again, you're the inspirational leader, right? That I talk about. You're that influencer. You're the change maker. You're the person that's making changes all over the place. Everyone that knows you, everybody that meets you, is blessed to know you. So I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Tim.
And for all of you, and hang on, don't hang up once. But I'm gonna go ahead and end the show, because we're at an hour and 3 minutes. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, and ladies, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing this video. And if you haven't shared it yet, please do that. Tag somebody that needs to hear this information. Certainly, you can please also subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you just type in hashtag GetUpNGrow the way you see it here, you'll be able to find me, and just click subscribe. I would appreciate it. And you can also find me at Tony Rodriguez 2.0 on Instagram, certainly on Facebook as well. And I'm available as well. Certified high performance strategist, life and business strategist. If you need someone to talk to on that, please do. For happiness in relationship, you have my brother from another mother, Anil Gupta, here. And for today, my friends, that is what the show for you. I appreciate you. Remember that in life, it is not about how many times you fall. It's about getting up after every fall. You fall down 7 times, you get up 8. And every single time you fall, you have the opportunity to get up and grow. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing. And we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, by the way, and Anil, I'd love you to be on tomorrow as well. to watch this gentleman. I have Tom Martin. We're going to start Marketing Mondays. So he's going to do a series with me for the next 6 weeks. Tom Martin is amazing at marketing. Watch him. He's talking about things that nobody else is talking about. So jump on tomorrow. Rick Denley, you would appreciate it. Eric, you would appreciate it. Everybody that's on here, check us out tomorrow. I appreciate all of you. Love you for showing up and for spending a little time with me. And certainly you too, my brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Love you. Love you.
Ciao for now.